Can the Monsgeek M1 V5 be your Endgame keyboard? As in, can this be the last keyboard that you ever buy, and can you mod it to suit your preference? That's what we're diving into in today's video, and if you guys are new around here, my name is Mitchell, and this is Desktop Tech. This is my baby YouTube channel where I talk about tech that you would find on your desk. Normally on my other channels, I'm talking about mobile tech, but this is the opposite of like mobile. So a sub would be really appreciated, and giving this video a like would go a long way to making me feel better about myself. Now, in full disclosure, the parts to build this keyboard did come from AliExpress as well as KeyTalk. They are not getting to review this video before I put it out, and no money changed hands. Now, if you missed it, the components that went into this build were relatively simple. Along with the Monsgeek M1 V5, we have some switches that are so epic, they've been copied and knocked off multiple times, the MMD Holy Pandas. As someone that likes tactile switches, I had to try what many consider to be the greatest of all time switch for tactile games. On top of that, I went with a pair of keycaps from KeyTalk. KeyTalk make high quality double shot PPT keycaps with a variety of different themes, and the theme that I went for this all-white board was the Beat Boy keycap set. And this is essentially modeled after a piece of musical equipment designed by the famous Teenage Engineering, and I wanted to have kind of an all-white and kind of off-white keyboard to change it up, you know, versus like black keyboards, which I normally rock with. When I first got this keyboard, I just put everything together stock, and I really liked how it sounds. But you guys can be the judge of that. Let's give it a listen. After using this keyboard for a month and a half, I really liked the performance of it. I thought that the squish feels really nice with not much in the way of hot spotting along this keyboard. I thought the gasket performance was really good, although it is kind of subtle and it's not the springiest or kind of most bouncy keyboard that I've found. I still felt like overall it was pretty good and pretty nice. That said, I'm a modder. I wanted to see what this keyboard would sound like with some different mods, and I wanted to see how it would feel, more importantly than not. So the next thing that I did was I gave this keyboard a tape mod. Now, a tape mod is essentially just using a layer of tape. It could be painter's tape. In my case, I used gaffer's tape after removing some of the adhesive, and I put one layer of gaffer's tape on the bottom of this keyboard, and then I removed the foam. Well, first I kept the OEM foam, and I put the foam in between the PCB and the case, and you guys can go ahead and tell me how you think that sounds right now. Now, I really liked the way it felt, and I thought that the way it sounded with the tape mod as well as the case foam was pretty good. I did run into a bit of a problem though, where the case foam was raising the PCB too much, and I was having issues with getting the ball latch system to fully latch, and I was having some clearance issues where the case wasn't fully closing. That prompted me to try using it without the case foam, and oh my god. Now give it a listen to what this sounds like with just the tape mod and no case foam. Since I discovered this combo, I've been rocking this with no foam and just the tape mod, and I have to say that I absolutely love the way it sounds and the way it feels. It definitely made it a little bit louder, but with the tape mod, it definitely gave the keyboard a little bit deeper and thockier of a sound overall, but the overall volume of it is still pretty loud because there's no foam in it to dampen that noise. This made me super happy with the kind of sound that I got out of it, and it also changed a bit of the gasket performance. It seems like with the clearance of the Monsgeek M1 V5, when you are using the foam beneath the PCB, that foam is actually touching the bottom part of the case. What that means is that those gaskets up on top and that flex plate or that positioning plate on top aren't getting as much room to kind of deform and take some of the impact when you are typing on the keyboard. Removing the case foam really does give you quite a bit more squish. And I think probably my favorite part about it is even though it does feel a little bit more cushioned and a little bit squishier, it doesn't give it any kind of hot spots, and it definitely doesn't make the keyboard feel inconsistent to type on. And that by and large is kind of my least favorite thing about cut PCBs paired with a gasket mount. Oftentimes, you can get parts of the keyboard that feel really responsive and well cushioned, where other parts of the keyboard kind of lose their squish and lose kind of the springiness, and it just ends up feeling kind of vague and unsatisfying to type on. With how this is right now, this feels extremely, extremely satisfying to type on. I have a nice level of resistance with each key press because I picked the 63-gram springs for my MMD Holy Pandas, so I have absolutely no issues with ghost key presses at all. Even though I have no feeling in the rightmost two fingers of my hand, I don't have to worry about accidental key presses at all because of those stiff springs. That said, after I get over that initial bump in the key press, I get a very, very nice, very, very smooth and very well cushioned kind of bottom out feeling, which doesn't get fatiguing at all. I think that this setup, how it is right now, is perfect for someone that wants to have a really, really responsive typing feel while still getting a little bit of bounce and a little bit of kind of cushion for each of these key presses. I know from personal experience writing YouTube scripts like this, I can type on this keyboard for 30, 40 minutes on end before I get any kind of finger fatigue or need a break. I really like the way this feels, and I think that it's got a great combination of squish and feel. To come back and answer our original question that we had at the beginning of this video though, can the Monsgeek M1 V5 be your end game keyboard, or kind of the last keyboard that you're gonna buy? And from personal experience, I think that the answer for this is yes, for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, it's easy and simple to mod, and you don't need any tools. Second of all, this keyboard has tri-mode connectivity, so even after the batteries might eventually wear out, if you can't find replacement batteries for this, you're still going to be able to use this wired. The next reason that I think that this is an end game keyboard is because kind of the ecosystem, and because of how ubiquitous this keyboard is, you can find tons of different top plates both from Monsgeek and third-party sellers on AliExpress, and I really like the ability to change it out with a metal top plate, an FR4 top plate, a polycarbonate top plate to get a different typing experience. The final reason why I think that this is an end game keyboard for most people is because of the support for QMK or VIA. And if you're not familiar with what QMK or VIA is, QMK or VIA is essentially an open source software that allows you to reprogram some of the functions of a keyboard with QMK, and then VIA is the open source browser-based software that you can use to go ahead and create macros, change key bindings, create different macro layers, reprogram the keys, etc. And if you guys would like to see a video all about VIA and doing that, I would totally consider doing it, but just let me know in the comment section down below. And if you have a Monsgeek M1 V5, what has your experience been? And do you think that this can be an endgame keyboard? Peace.